Myself came to rescue me. That was my first thought when the corridor split open in fire and a woman wearing my face stepped through the smoke, my height, my bronze-black skin, my amber-slit-pupilled eyes, my black victory rings braided through her hair filaments. Even the old scar under my jaw, earned during a duel I had technically won, gleamed where it should. The copy looked at me through the sparks. "Varessa Thul Serrik," she said. "Remain conscious." I stared at her through the cracked visor of my survival suit. "I am hallucinating with excellent taste. You are suffocating with acceptable sarcasm. Move." Another version of me dropped through a ceiling breach. A third came sprinting along the wall as the deck tilted beneath us. Hard light, I realized. Physical projections. Not flesh, not illusion. 7 years alone aboard the Ravener's Grace had taught me to distrust convenient miracles. It had also taught me to use them before they expired. "My leg is fractured," I rasped. "Then limp quickly," said the first copy. "I dislike you. You dislike correct orders." That sounded enough like me that I obeyed. The Ravener's Grace was dying around us. Solar flare damage had gutted the old warship's skin, and every system my Aunt Merrick's had left working just well enough to keep me alive had begun failing at once. That was her genius. She had not killed me. Killing made martyrs. She had sealed me aboard with food, air, recycling, training halls, shrine records, and a navigation core locked to a blind path into uncharted space. She had given me everything needed to survive and nothing needed to return. For 7 years I had recorded accusations before the Black Vow Shrine. For 7 years no one answered. Now the corridor behind me folded open in silver-black light. A male voice came through every dying speaker. "Varessa Thul Serrik, my name is Vaelor Ardent. I am trying to save your life." Why? A pause. "Let's just say I have to prove something to myself." The deck split beneath my boots. One of my copies caught me, another shoved me toward the light. "I will not be carried like cargo," I growled. "You will be carried like an heirloom blade," she said. "Dangerous, valuable, and currently useless without someone else's hand." I laughed. It hurt. Then the silver-black light took me. Behind us, my prison broke open under the star's final flare.
Prince. Somewhere in uncharted space. I found her because I was running. That is not the heroic version. It is simply true. The Harmonic Directorate had followed me across the boundary between realities, their ships singing mathematics into wounds I had barely escaped. My family was dead. My civilization was dead. The Morning Star, last royal vessel of the Threnari Continuum, was damaged, overburdened, and far too memorable. "Saren," I said, gripping the command rail, "where are we?" "Stable neighboring reality," said the ship's intelligence, in the voice of my childhood tutor. "Local physics tolerable. No directorate signal within immediate range." That sounded almost hopeful. "Your optimism remains poorly calibrated." Then the sensors found the derelict. One life sign, failing air, sabotaged navigation, sabotaged communications, a ship not meant to kill its prisoner quickly, but to bury her beyond rescue. I should have left. The Morning Star's advanced systems left traces. The Directorate could follow traces. Every use of fold space, hard light, and dimensional slip tightened the noose around me. But then I opened her records. The data structure was unknown to me. It was encoded in binary, a scheme my people had replaced centuries ago. It was easy to decode and translate. I saw Varessa Thul, Warbride of the Black Vow, standing alone before a shrine every 100 days. Her voice grew quieter over the years, but it never broke. I knew something about survivors who refused silence. "Saren," I said, "generate rescue bodies based on her image. That may alarm her. Everything will alarm her. This will hopefully comfort her, being rescued by her own kind." Very royal reasoning. I was trained badly by excellent people. We pulled her aboard 7 seconds before her ship died. As the wreck scattered into the star's light, I watched the last evidence of her prison become debris. Then I ordered a Varethi disguise. Saren said, "That seems cowardly." I looked at my true reflection in the dark glass. Pearl gray skin, luminous eyes, geometric light moving beneath the surface, sensory filaments hanging loose around my face. "Yes," I said, That too.
Warbride. When I woke, my pain was gone. That offended me. Pain is information. Removing it without permission is rude. I sat up in a medical chamber that looked grown rather than built. Silver black walls curved without seams. Instruments floated in patient silence. A version of me sat nearby. I punched her. My fist passed through her cheek, struck briefly solid light, and rebounded. Neurological aggression intact, the duplicate observed. I will show you intact. The door appeared where no door had been. A Varethi male entered, tall, dark, amber-eyed, handsome in a polished, courtly way. Wrong. His scent was wrong. His posture was wrong. His grief was wrong for the face he wore. You are safe, he said. I threw a medical tool at his throat. He caught it. He almost made it look easy. I was trying to be reassuring, he said. Try less. His false expression flickered. Then he inclined his head. Fair. Drop the disguise. That may be distressing. I was imprisoned for 7 years by my own blood, rescued by copies of myself, and awakened inside a ship that grows doors. Distress is no longer a decisive argument. The illusion peeled away. What remained was tall, pearl grey, elegant, and somewhat human-looking. Humans have less time than most species as a galactic civilization, but possess a fierce drive that makes them learn everything, experience everything, and the set about improving everything. Pale sensory filaments framed a face too tired for its beauty. He was close to human, in appearance at least, but still clearly a species I had no knowledge of. What are you? I asked. He paused to gather his thoughts, just like a human would do. The last heir of a dead civilization. That is not a species. No, he said. Lately it has felt more relevant. His name was Vaelor Ardent, Prince of the Threnari Continuum, fugitive from another reality, hunted by the Harmonic Directorate, the empire that had murdered his family and now wanted his ship, his archive, and eventually this universe. I listened. I believed half. Then, on a projection from the ceiling above, he showed me the records. Cities turned to glass, royal bloodlines erased, ships that folded space like cloth, weapons that removed moments from time. You could take me home, I said. Yes. The word struck me harder than the ship's destruction. Home, Merrick's, Clan Serrik, the tribunal she deserved, the revenge I had rehearsed for 7 years. Then take me. The ship trembled. Seren spoke overhead. Dimensional wake detected. 3 Directorate Pathfinders have entered long-range pursuit. They followed the rescue signature. Vaelor closed his eyes. The rescue had cost him. My survival had marked him. I looked at the prince, then at the stars beyond the medical chamber's new-made window. My aunt can wait, I said. His eyes opened. I thought you wanted revenge. I do, with devotion, with artistry. But if your enemies reach civilized space, Marix becomes a provincial snake in a burning forest. He stared at me. I smiled. Take us to the Federation. Let me introduce you to humanity. What is humanity? Despite everything, I laughed. Oh, Prince, I said. The universe has hidden its funniest knife from you.
Prince. Based on Seren's calculations, the trip to this galactic federation would take 3 days. Varessa seemed both upset and impressed that the 7-year journey for her craft would be a 3-day journey in the Morning Star. We fled. The Pathfinder ships were as adept as I was in avoiding detection. They couldn't see me, I couldn't see them, but they would find me. And from what I learned from Varessa's ship, the beings in this reality were no match for the creatures following me. Varessa learned the Morning Star quickly, too quickly. She moved through the ship like a commander inspecting a captured fortress. She distrusted walls without seams, argued with medical drones, and informed Seren that the hard light rescue bodies had been adequate but smug. Seren replied, "They were modeled on you." Varessa said, "Exactly. I should have found her exhausting. I did. I also found her alive in a way I had forgotten people could be. She made grief stand up straight. In the training chamber, she tested my skill with twin curved blades, while the holodeck built a Varethi storm arena around us. Black stone, red lightning, volcanic wind. You hesitate," she said after putting me on my back for the third time. I was choosing among several strategies. You were choosing among excuses. The blade at my throat was blunt. Her eyes were not. Your enemies did not defeat you because they were stronger, she said. They defeated you because you were raised to think mercy and indecision are siblings. And you? I was betrayed because I believed blood and loyalty were siblings. She lowered the blade. We were both badly educated. I laughed. She offered me a hand. I took it. Later, in the observation gallery, she touched the glowing geometry beneath my wrist. Permission? She asked, after touching me. Usually that comes first. I am adapting. Yes, I said. Permission. Her fingertip traced the light. The pattern shifted. Interesting. Scientific observation or threat? With me, those overlap. We spent the next hours studying one another's biology. Ahem. Threnari and Varessa should have been strangers at the cellular level. They were not. Not entirely. Life, it seemed, had echoes across dimensions. Varessa looked at the data for a long time. Either biology is less loyal to reality than philosophers claim, she said, or the universe enjoys inappropriate jokes. That is the most alarming flirtation I have ever survived. She smiled. It had teeth. Good. In what I realized was the first break I had since my narrow escape from the Holocaust that took my family, I was alone in my cabin. For that first time, I allowed myself to slow down, to clear my thoughts, and to take everything in. That was a mistake. It was all too much. My people have never developed a workable method of dealing with grief. We had to just let it happen. So I drank too much from the Royal Ceremonial Reserve. Yes, inebriations of various sorts were common among my people. At the Holodeck Recreation Center, I called up a recreation of my family's lakeside retreat. It did so perfectly, cruelly. My mother laughed beneath the moons. My sister threw fruit at a Tudor drone. My father pretended not to laugh. Varessa found me there, torturing myself with ghosts. Leave, I said. No, I am your sovereign host. You are a drunk refugee in a fake lake. She sat beside me. For a long time, neither of us spoke. I could restore them, I whispered. The cloning vaults hold partial royal backups. Bodies can be grown, minds imprinted. Perhaps enough. Almost enough is not alive. I know. Do you? I wanted to be angry. I was too tired. No, I said. Varessa's hand closed over mine. My prison had a projection of my mother, she said. Merrick's left it intact. I used it once. It told me my stance was sloppy. I laughed despite myself. I deleted it, Varessa said. Did that help? No, but grief that obeys commands is another prison. I leaned against her before pride could stop me. She held me, no passion this time, genuine comfort offered. She took my back to my cabin. She stayed with me. For the first time since the palace burned, I slept without waking to fire.
Warbride. The Galactic Council did not believe me. I used my name and my title to open a session of the council. Everyone had heard of my mysterious disappearance. It made it easy to get their attention. Standing on a platform with the prince at my side, we directly addressed representatives from every member species. We made our case. I gave a speech I had spent hours on, a high-level briefing intended to spur decision-making. It did not go well. The idea that beings from a different reality were approaching, with ships we could not match, seemed too ridiculous to them. That was the trouble with civilized people. They wanted proof because proof allowed fear to wait politely in another room. Vaelor stood before the council in a human disguise, dark-haired, grey-eyed, lean, and scholarly. It was an excellent mask, fragile-looking, thoughtful, almost harmless. I stood beside him undisguised in restored Varethi armor. The council chamber held Asteri, Varelians, humans, Varethi, Brindlefolk, and several species whose names I had not bothered remembering because none had drawn weapons. Vaelor showed them everything, the fall of his civilization, the Directorate's ships, their pursuit traces, their weapons, their expansion models. An Asteri counselor folded silver hands. Your evidence is internally consistent, Prince Vaelor, but extraordinary claims require independent verification. A human admiral named Mara Keen frowned at the display. Are you saying these things followed you here? Yes, Vaelor said. And that they may come through after you? Yes. The Brindlefolk envoy raised a claw. Is your ship available for heroic inspection? No, Vaelor and I said together. The envoy nodded. Suspicious, but fair. The council wanted committees, sanctuary, psychological evaluation. Vaelor smiled with royal winter. Then I stepped forward. I am Varessa Thul Serrik, I said, Warbride of the Black Vow. Confirm me. A Varethi observer in the side tier rose slowly, face gone pale. Councillors, he said, voice tight. Her identity is confirmed. Varessa Thul was declared lost with honours 7 years ago. Not lost, I said, removed. That stirred them. Good. Truth should enter like a blade. The first alarm sounded. The sky projection above the chamber filled with impossible signatures unfolding near Galette's high moon. Vaelor whispered one word in his language. Seren translated it through my earpiece. No. The Directorate had arrived.
Prince. The battle for Galette lasted 26 minutes. History would make it longer. History likes room for speeches. The truth was sharper. 5 Directorate Pathfinders entered orbit. Galette's defense grid fired. One platform vanished from the moment in which its shields should have held. Another broke apart before its crew understood they were dead. The council finally believed me. Belief is fastest under bombardment. The morning star rose above Galette in her true form, a dark crescent of silver-black living metal, beautiful and wounded and far too visible. The Directorate opened a channel. Its representative wore a stolen approximation of a Threnari face. Vaelor Ardent, it said. Submit the vessel, submit the archive, submit selfhood for resolution. Admiral Keen's voice snapped over the emergency channel. Translation? Varessa answered. They want him, his ship, and time to decide how best to enslave or erase the rest of you. The representative turned its false gaze to her. Local predatory variant, inefficient aggression. Varessa smiled. Come closer and classify me by hand. I prepared to surrender, not from fear. I had dragged this problem to their doorstep. Maybe I could remove it just as easily and save lives and treasure. A dead prince carries sacrifice like a family heirloom, and below us billions of strangers waited under burning skies. I can end this, I said. Varessa seized my arm. No, do not choose easy martyrdom and call it nobility. There are billions below, and more after them if you go. Her claws bit lightly through my sleeve. Be the reason they live. That is harder. So we fought, not beautifully. Varessa saw the answer first. The Directorate depended on harmony, prediction, correction. Galette's defenders had been trying to match order with order. Stop being elegant, she ordered the combined fleet. The humans obeyed immediately. That alone unsettled the enemy. Asteri beams began firing in ugly, staggered intervals. Varillian navigators bent evacuation paths through debris shadows. Varethi cutters struck whenever the Directorate corrected formation. Human ships launched decoys, reactor chaff, mining charges, rescue drones, and one cargo container full of scrap accelerated hard enough to become philosophy. The Morning Star used time-skip weapons only in pinpricks. A shield missed 1 second of its own existence. A Directorate beam arrived too late. A missile swarm survived the instant meant to erase it. Their song faltered. Then the central Pathfinder opened a dimensional breach. If it stabilized, a fleet would follow. I reached for the overfold command. Varessa's hand covered mine. No. Before I could answer, the Brindlefolk vessel, Glorious Persistence, lurched across the tactical display, trailing smoke, music, and warning indicators. Captain Brix appeared on comms, grinning. Galactic friends, today the Brindlefolk demonstrate strategic relevance. Admiral Keen shouted, Brix, pull back! With respect, Admiral Human Mara, destiny has poor brakes. The Glorious Persistence drove straight into the breach seed. I used one time-skip pulse to make a Directorate correction beam miss. The Brindlefolk ship struck. Its reactor bloomed white. For 1 terrible second, I thought they had died. Then dozens of orange escape pods burst from the blast, spinning and broadcasting victory music. Captain Brix crackled over comms. Minor clarification. We also demonstrate emergency evacuation excellence. The breach collapsed. The surviving Directorate ships withdrew. My hand hovered over pursuit controls. Varessa's fingers tightened around mine. "Let them carry the news," she said. "Let them tell their masters this universe is chaotic, emotional, inefficient, and extremely difficult to conquer." I let them go. Galette burned below us, but it remained Galette.
Warbride. After battle, governments become very interested in the people they doubted before the shooting began. The council apologized badly, which is to say politically. Admiral Keane of the human fleet apologized better. "You were right," she told Vaelor in a hospital garden overlooking one of Galette's black canals. "We were slow." "You were careful," he said. "We were slow." I liked her. She also informed him that humanity had issued a provisional protective claim. Vaelor blinked. "Claim? Not property," Keane said. "Family, guest, problem, neighbor. Depends who writes the paperwork. You showed up hunted, traumatized, and still stopped to rescue someone else. That makes you ours by several unwritten human traditions." Keane held out a hand. I lead Vaelor's hand to grasp it, in the old human tradition of a handshake. "That's sort of an unwritten bond," I said. Keane nodded, a broad smile on her normally stoic military face. The Asteri councillor present looked distressed. The Asteri delegation objects to unilateral terminology. Keane shrugged. "File a weather report." Vaelor looked overwhelmed. For a prince of a murdered civilization, bureaucratic adoption was apparently a serious blow. Then my message arrived from Vareth. Commander Thul Serrik appeared in the projection, flanked by priestesses of the Black Vow. Behind them stood Varessa Thul in restraint black, stripped of ornament. I felt 7 years rise in me, hatred, hunger, memory. Thurok bowed. Varessa Thul Serrik, Stormbride, returned. "Varessa Thul has been accused and stripped of authority. Your evidence is undeniable. Your seat is restored. Come home. Your clan has need of you." Merrick's did not speak. Good. The message ended. Vaelor said nothing. Wise prince. Later, I looked across the garden. Rescue craft moved over the canal. Above Galette, ships from a dozen species argued while saving lives. "My whole life," I said, "I was told what I belonged to. Clan, vow, revenge." "And now?" Vaelor asked. I took his hand, in public. The garden quieted. "My clan can wait. Marix can sit in a cell while I decide how much of my future she still deserves to occupy." His luminous eyes searched mine. "And what future do you choose?" "A new start," I said. "Not instead of vengeance. After vengeance stops being the only thing I am. By my traditions, we have shared danger, we have shared battle. Now, I claim you." He looked baffled. "What does that mean?" "My claim on you is an offer mixed with an entreaty and sealed with a promise. It means, if you will it so, that we become one and face a common destiny." "That," he said slowly, "sound amazing. Varessa, you know I am no prize. I am little better than a beggar, a being who has lost everything and has little to offer." I smiled, shook my head. I touched his chest where Threnari light moved beneath his hidden skin. "Your worth is proven to me. I have seen your steel in battle. I have fought your demons with you. You have delivered me from my demons. Your loyalty to me, your unflinching support. You gave away your safety to get me home. How could I not love you? How could I not want you in my destiny?" "I don't know the best response for this," the prince said. "So I'll say this. You claim me. I am yours. I claim you. You are mine." Admiral Keane strolled up, hands behind her back. She cleared her throat. "For the record, humanity claimed him second." I did not look away from Vaelor. "Acceptable," I said. "I've heard the planet Mars has locations that newly betrothed couples spend time at." Keane was lost in a memory for a second. "You bet your britches, youngsters. I was there when a newlywed myself. I'll make the reservations for you." Saren recorded that. I know she did. Treacherous ship. Later, historians would name the battle the first Harmonic Incursion. The Asteri would write papers on controlled disorder and pretend not to hate the conclusions. Humans would attempt to reverse engineer Threnari fold mathematics and accidentally create new safety regulations. The Brindle folk would turn Captain Brix's charge into 7 operas, all inaccurate and all emotionally convincing. The Varethi would sing of the storm bride who returned from the dead and chose the greater war before private revenge. As for us, we left Galette in silver-black light aboard the Morning Star. A human ship and a Brindlefolk ship put on a light show in our honor, their ships sending out bright, sparkly drones that made space light up. We passed with a burst of light from our navigation boosters to thank them for their sentiment. Toward human space we went. Vaelor stood beside me on the command deck, beautiful, haunted, and no longer quite alone. Humans may hug us, he warned. I considered this. Both of us? I fear so. Then we prepare. For battle? For humans, I said. Apparently there is overlap. Seren asked, destination confirmed? Vaelor looked at me. I looked at the stars. Confirmed, he said. The end.